The basement of Crestwood University's media department was a crypt of forgotten relics, dusty projectors, warped cassettes, and stacks of unmarked VHS tapes shoved into sagging cardboard boxes. Mia, a senior film student, was scavenging for props for her final project when she found it. A single VHS tape, its label scratched off, tucked behind a broken Betamax player. The tape felt oddly heavy, its plastic case cold despite the stuffy air. Intrigued, she slipped it into her backpack, figuring it might inspire her horror short. That night, in her cramped dorm room, Mia dusted off the department's ancient VCR and plugged it into her laptop to capture the footage. The screen flickered to life, static crackling like distant whispers. The tape began with a title card in blocky 1980s font. The Hollow, Student Project, 1987. The film was amateurish, shot on the Crestwood campus, a slasher flick with bad acting and worse lighting. 4 students, playing teens, wandered the library's stacks, giggling nervously as they filmed a haunted scene. But something was off. In the background, behind a bookshelf, a shadowy figure stood motionless, its face obscured, its presence unacknowledged by the actors. Mia paused the tape, her skin prickling. The figure wasn't part of the script. She'd seen the shot list scribbled in the margins of a prop notebook she'd found with the tape. She rewound and played it again. The figure was still there, taller now, its edges blurry like a smudge on the lens. She leaned closer, squinting, its head tilted slightly, as if it knew she was watching. Her dorm's fluorescent lights buzzed, flickering for a moment, and she laughed nervously. "Old tape, bad quality," she muttered, but her hands trembled as she ejected it. The next day, Mia showed the tape to her friend Alex, a tech-savvy film major who loved dissecting vintage media. They watched it in the media lab, the hum of old equipment filling the silence. The figure appeared again, this time in multiple scenes, lurking in a doorway, reflected in a window, always just out of focus. Alex frowned. "That's not an actor. Look at the shadows. It's not lit like the rest of the scene." He pulled up the university's archives on his laptop, searching for The Hollow. A brief article from 1987 popped up. The 4 students who made the film, Lila, Mark, Sarah, and Ethan, had vanished after production. No trace, no bodies, just their equipment left in the library. The case was still unsolved. Mia's curiosity turned to obsession. She digitized the tape, combing through every frame. In one scene, shot in the library's basement, the figure stood closer, its face still a blur but its hands visible, pale, claw-like, with 2 long fingers. She noticed something else. The bookshelves in the background were the same ones she'd seen in the basement yesterday. Against Alex's protests, she decided to investigate, bringing her camera to document the location for authenticity. The library basement was a maze of moldy books and flickering lights. Mia set up her camera, its red recording light a faint beacon in the gloom. The air felt heavy, like it was pressing against her chest. She found the exact spot from the film, a corner where the shelves formed a tight alcove. As she panned her camera, the lens caught a flicker of movement, a shadow that darted behind a shelf. Her breath hitched, but the footage was empty when she checked it. "Just nerves," she whispered, though her voice echoed strangely, as if someone else had spoken. That night, back in her dorm, Mia reviewed her footage. Her stomach dropped. In the corner of the frame, where the alcove had been, the shadowy figure stood, clearer than in the VHS. Its face was still obscured, but its head was tilted, mirroring the tape's eerie gesture. Worse, her camera's timestamp showed the clip was recorded at 3:33 a.m., hours after she'd left the library. She hadn't slept, hadn't left her room. The footage shouldn't exist. Panic set in. Mia called Alex, who arrived pale and jittery. "I watched the tape again," he said, voice low. "The figure, it's different now. It's holding something, a camera like yours." They played Mia's footage side by side with the VHS. In the old tape, the figure now held a modern digital camera, its lens glinting unnaturally. Mia's camera. Her heart pounded as the room grew colder, the air thick with the smell of ozone, like a storm about to break. Desperate for answers, Mia dug deeper into the archives, finding a journal from a 1987 librarian tucked away in a restricted section. The spidery handwriting described a presence in the library basement, something that had haunted the campus since its founding. The journal mentioned a ritual gone wrong, a student film project meant to summon a spirit for realistic footage. The spirit, unbound, latched onto the tape, using it as a window to the living world. "It sees through the lens," the journal warned. "It follows those who watch." Mia's blood ran cold. She'd watched the tape, filmed in the same spot. She was marked. Alex, pale, suggested destroying the tape, but Mia hesitated. What if that freed the thing entirely? Instead, she decided to recreate the ritual from the journal, hoping to bind the entity back to the tape. The instructions were vague. Circle the tape with salt, chant a Latin phrase, and offer a piece of yourself to seal it. Mia didn't know what that meant, but she was running out of time. They returned to the library basement at midnight, the only time the building was empty. Mia poured a shaky circle of salt around the VHS, her camera rolling to document everything. Alex chanted the Latin, his voice wavering. The lights flickered, and the air grew so cold their breath fogged. Mia felt eyes on her, not from Alex, but from the shadows. The camera's viewfinder glitched, showing the figure standing just outside the salt circle, its face still a blur, but its mouth moving, forming words she couldn't hear. "Finish it," Alex hissed. Mia, trembling, pricked her finger with a pocket knife, letting a drop of blood fall onto the tape. The journal had hinted at a sacrifice. Maybe this was enough. The ground shook, books tumbling from shelves. The figure in the viewfinder screamed, a soundless wail that made Mia's ears ring. The tape began to smoke, the plastic melting, and the figure vanished from the screen. The basement went still, the air warming. They fled, leaving the melted tape behind. Mia deleted her footage, vowing never to touch a camera again. She and Alex graduated, moved on, tried to forget, but Mia couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She stopped posting on her YouTube channel, too paranoid to record herself. Months later, a package arrived at her apartment, no return address. Inside was a new VHS tape, unmarked, its case pristine. Her hands shook as she set up her old VCR, curiosity outweighing fear. The screen flickered, showing her own footage from the library basement. The salt circle, Alex chanting, her blood dripping. But the angle was wrong. It wasn't her camera's perspective. It was filmed from behind the shelves, from the figure's point of view. The twist hit like a knife. The ritual hadn't bound the entity to the tape. It had bound it to her. The figure wasn't trapped. It was free, using her own footage to stalk her, slipping into every frame she'd ever shoot. Mia smashed the tape, but the next day, her phone's camera app opened on its own, recording. In the corner of the screen, a shadow moved, tilting its head. She deleted the clip, but her phone buzzed again, a new video downloading from an unknown source. The whispers started then, faint but growing. "You can't stop filming.